drove Ware down, Ware was all beat up. All I could see was all his lips and everything was parted.
Well, when I finally had the stitches taken out, the doctor who took the stitches out, he said there were about 32 stitches in my mouth.
This is a picture of it right here, and in his paper clipping, and his mouth was all bleeding and everything cut up, and then they had to prepare papers to release Ware to me.
In order for me to get out, the policeman told me, you got to sign this. It's a release statement. And so, consistent with the way that I had been acting with them from the time that they hit me while I was in the car, I always had a way of either delaying or not doing what they asked me to do. So when he told me to sign it, I asked the attorney to read it first, Attorney Jones, before I would sign it.
So Ware wouldn't sign them before I would read them. And the man, there was one police officer, the man that you read, you gonna read them now. And so Ware said, I'm gonna read them, you gonna sign them now. Ware said, I'm gonna read them, and then my attorney got to read them first. Ware insisted on that with his stubborn self. And so, but he was stubborn. And so I didn't care who signed, how quick he signed, because I wanted to get out of that. You see, if anything was in them papers wrong, we could argue the fact if we went to court that what we signed was coerced. But Ware he was insisting on his right to read them before. And so there was one officer who reached to get his gun. He went to get his gun, did that, and the captain, his name was Robertson, that was named by the name of Robertson, and he stepped in and told him, he said, oh no, you're not gonna have any of that here in my jail. And that's the thing that saved us. And from that time then I told Ware, I said I've read them, so you go ahead on and sign. Then Ware just went on and signed. He knew I hadn't read them, but he went on and signed them.
And in his testimony was that he told me, he said, okay, I've read it, now go ahead on and sign it. And then once he told me he had read it, I went on and signed it.
And then I signed it, and then we came on back to Baton Rouge. But on my way to Baton Rouge, I'm going to tell you what, I blanked out.
He told me was on the way back that his mind went blank for a while, but he was driving the vehicle.
All the way. I was driving blank. I didn't know where I was on the road. All the way from Natchez, Mississippi through Woodville. And I had once worked in Woodville. And I sort of knew when I hit Woodville, and I passed through Woodville, and I blinked out, and I didn't know where I was until I reached the Louisiana line. So I had gone and been in Normandy invasion and been a lot of fire, you know. But and had been sort of conditioned to those things. But when you facing things like that, you blank, and you don't know what protects you, but you are protected, and you just keep doing because you're gonna be protected as long as you're doing what's right.
Well, it was routine after we left Natchez until we got back to Baton Rouge. Then a series of things were set up when we got to Baton Rouge.
But when we got back to here, I had to put pull off at home. And when I put pull off at home, I had to, I got out of the car, and ran to pull, went to pull the door and opened the door for her while she could get out of the car, open her screen door for her to go in. And when I looked, that her floor, the flooring in her porch was torn up. And her porch was torn up, so that when we stepped off open the door and step from the step inside, she would fall through and get snagged up on torn up lumber. and snagged where the porch was torn up. And all that was that, and I looked and I saw that quickly, and I said, hold it, Paul, hold it. And that's what happened. I said, the porch is torn up, but it wasn't torn up when I went to pick her up.
He called the FBI to report what had happened, and he called a newspaper. He also called a photographer, who was a professional photographer, to take my picture.
I had to call the press and the FBI and everybody else. But usually when I made movements like that, I always had somebody to come to my rescue from the national office and everything.
Then he went to Gonzales because the trial for the first arrest, which had occurred on August the 2nd, was to be held in Gonzales on that day. So he went down there and presented a series. He had prepared about 10 to 12 motions, he said. I know there was a lot of motions that he had prepared.
You know that when that case came up on arraignment, I preached you're not guilty, and then set your case for certain motions and argument, and I filed certain motions. I filed about 12 at that time, and one right after the other, and the judge denied every one that I filed.
And each time the judge would deny one written motion, he would pull another motion out and say, Your Honor, I make this motion. The judge said he denied, he'd pull another one out. And that was all in reference to the trial and court proceedings for the challenge to segregation in the eating place in Gonzales, where I was arrested.
I had drawn and in anticipation of what he would do. And I just filed there, and I filed about 12, if I recall correctly. And when I got through, the jury ruled all of those, and then set the case for another hearing, and then next thing I got was a notice of continuance, and they continued it up until this day. This day I have, we never did go to the actual trial.